The Heat were once again shorthanded in a preseason matchup versus the Houston Rockets, but Miami's youth movement and deep roster continues to impress. We break down the game, who stood out, and whose stock is up or down on today's Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat. However you might be tuning in on YouTube, Odyssey, or on your favorite podcast app, thank you so much for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. I'm Wes Goldberg here with David Ramil. Victor Oladipo made his preseason debut, finished with 8 points on 3 of 11 shooting, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, and 3 steals in 20 minutes in Miami's preseason game against the Houston Rockets. Handled the ball a bunch as a starter. No Jimmy Butler, no Bam, no Caleb Martin, no Kyle Lowry, no Tyler Herro. Also, no Omer Yurtseven off the bench. So we got a good look at Victor Oladipo in some heavy usage minutes. What did you think of Oladipo's preseason debut, David?
Solid and somewhat unexpected. I don't think that we necessarily had him pigeonholed as the backup point guard. We assume that's a role that Gabe Vincent is likely to take on. But with Oladipo's role currently in flux and no way of knowing for certain whether or not he'll be part of the starting lineup, as we've said many times, we don't expect that to be the case. So if he's coming off the bench, he's shown enough flash and ability to handle the ball, not just tonight, but also over the course of his career, where he's likely to evolve as perhaps the primary ball handler, playmaker, or maybe even I can see some parts there where Gabe might be playing alongside Oladipo, but Oladipo will still be handling the ball for the most part. Overall,
no,
impressive.
But let's stay there though. That's a really good point. Because he started tonight with Gabe Vincent. It was Oladipo, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Haywood Highsmith, and Dewayne Deadman as your starting group. And I tweeted this out before the game started, but I was like, hey, is this just the second unit that's getting the start on a night where all your core players were basically out, or most of them were? And I think we might be heading in that direction, or at least generally looking at that, especially in that backcourt. I think it's still Victor Oladipo and Gabe Vincent. I think that reports of Dewayne Dedman's demise are grossly overstated. I don't know that Omer Yurtseven has leapt him on the depth chart completely. I think that people are making that assumption a little too early right now because Dewayne Dedman is still under contract for $4 million this year. It's a tradable deal, but you don't want that just kind of sitting on the bench, wasting away. And so I'm not ready to say Yurtseven has completely usurped Deadman as the backup center to Bam. So maybe that is the second unit. And to your point, Victor Oladipo was running the show. Now, I don't know if that was just, all right, let's throw Victor Oladipo out there. It's his first preseason minutes. Gabe Vincent's already gotten a couple of games under his belt. Let's just give him the reps, right? And I do wonder about that. I asked Victor Oladipo about this after the game, and I said, hey, do you feel, because he's been so open about saying, I want more of a defined role. Obviously, you couldn't get that last year when he played just 8 regular season games, and then it was sort of weird in the playoffs because of injuries and stuff. But I asked him if he felt like that defined role was being outlined for him a little bit more. And his answer was interesting in that he didn't really say anything. And that to me was kind of enlightening because if that defined role had been there, I wonder if he would have been a little bit more open about the fact that, hey, yeah, I feel good about where I'm at right now. We know that he wants to start. He's probably not going to get that, and he's probably understanding that that's going to happen. But, yeah, I still think it's very much a work in progress. So tonight, based on what he said, based on what Spo said, maybe it's more experimentation than anything, but it does make sense if you think about it, him being the lead guard, the way that Tyler Herro was in the second unit last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you get a sense that maybe there's a potential for being disgruntled about the current lack of definement? Okay.
No, I hear patience is the word that kept coming to mind. Patience. Okay. And I think given Victor Oladipo's path to this point, I think he's learned patience. Maybe he wasn't always patient. I think he's learned to be patient at this point. Only 20 minutes tonight, right? I don't know that he's going to be under a minutes restriction, but they're sort of slow feeding him back into the lineup.
Yeah, well, I guess considering that this was his first preseason game, maybe you want to kind of just ease him into it. Not necessarily any reason to have him play 30 minutes. I think you saw enough during that standpoint, the highs and lows of him handling the ball. The defense is still there. I think
3
that
steals
was
in the
pretty
first
top
half.
notch.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, Houston's shooters, particularly that backcourt with Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr., seem to be lighting it up from three at almost every opportunity. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Overall, I'd say they were okay defensively. The Heat were, but they still gave up a ton of open looks and give credit to Houston. They were able to knock those down. But as a ball handler, I think, and that's the area that I think we want to concentrate on the most, he was solid, like making plays for others, looking to push the pace, trying to find other players when they had their open shots. And so you have to give credit to Oladipo for at least embracing for now this role.
Using screens, rejecting screens,
Yeah.
driving without a screen at all. I thought that was a really good sign. The first step still, it looked a little slow tonight, but I really don't want to get into all that stuff either because it was his first preseason game back. And they are preaching so much patience. You just hope that we have seen those flashes, especially in the playoffs, of that athleticism starting to come back. I didn't see it in those 20 minutes really. But I also didn't see any reason for major concern.
No, he looks smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, he was a 7 or maybe 7.5 out there. Like solid, not particularly great in any one aspect, but pushing, trying to create for himself and others. And that's basically all you want from him. The shot was there too. The willingness, the aggression. It was a much better version, I think, of Oladipo than even what we had seen last year, because so much of when he thrived last year, with the exception of that last regular season game against the Orlando Magic, where he scored whatever points, 40 points. I think he was just basically concentrating on a defensive role. This seems a little bit more in his wheelhouse, as the central playmaker.
It makes sense. It makes so much sense for what the Heat need off the second unit. You and I are projecting him as to replace Tyler Herro as sixth man on this team. And I think that would be the defined role he's looking at. And then when you look at that lineup that's around him with a shooter like Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, we'll see if it's Haywood Highsmith in that spot. We'll see if it ends up being Dewayne Dedmon in that spot. I also don't know that the Heat are going to roll out a ton of just like pure second units. Obviously, you're going to stagger some of those starters. They'll be in and out. Who is the guy that Victor Oladipo is going to develop a two-man game with? Because I didn't really see a whole lot of it today. He actually bounced a pass right off of Dewayne Dedmon's skull at one point that almost knocked Dewayne Dedmon out. And he joked in the locker room after the game that he was in protocols.
Who would you think is the player that most likely to develop that chemistry with? I could say Bam. I think seems like
I can tell you who it's not going to be. It's not going to be Jimmy Butler, right? Those two guys don't mesh well on the court together. But yeah, and it's not going to be Tyler Herro either for the same reason. Like they want to kind of do the same thing. When Tyler Herro does get away from some of the other starters, I actually think you'll see him back in a role that looks more like a sixth-man role. But that's going to be mostly Victor Oladipo's job most nights. So Bam is the one that comes to mind. He is. Kyle Lowry, maybe, just because Lowry can kind of play off the ball a little bit. And you wonder, okay, do you want to go like a heavy defensive backcourt with Lowry and Oladipo? But to me, it kind of feels like Bam. But Bam's got, like, that's the thing about Bam. You could say that about any player plus Bam is a good two-man game. That's the value of Bam.
Yeah. So I'm wondering like how that's going to work out as far as like the rotation shift. Like you keep Jimmy, Kyle, Tyler in there early on, and then maybe your first substitution is Bam. Maybe get Yurt or somebody else some more minutes there as a big. That kind of puts you into a small lineup there. But I could see Deadman still kind of playing that role, either Yurt 7 or Deadman, and
Dedmon's
then maybe.
Deadman's a really good screener. I think that, like, if you think about what Oladipo needs, he needs somebody to set screens for him high up on the key so that he can get around him, and then a floor spacer. So I think maybe a two-man game, like a guard pick and pop kind of action with either Max Strus or Duncan Robinson could be really valuable too, because you need to space the floor around Oladipo. I know people want to say that three-pointer goes in, but it's really streaky. Oladipo's bread and butter is going to be getting to the basket.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, we'll talk about some of the other players that stood out and what really matters out of tonight's preseason game. But before we do that, just a reminder that if you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you're depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor. Are you ready? It's delicious, indulgent cookie dough covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it again. Let me introduce you to your new favorite cookie dough chunk puffs. They've got a light and chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks, and of course, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. All the joys of eating cookie dough without the hassle of making it. Plus, it's healthy for you. Cookie dough chunk puffs are only 160 calories and they have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. Run to Built.com to snag a box for you or the family, and it's the perfect treat right around the holidays. Or you can find a really good hiding place and just hoard them for yourself. If that's the kind of person you are. No judgment here. Like all Built bars, the new cookie dough chunk puff is covered in 100% real chocolate. That means they're healthy and tasty. Chocolate-covered cookie dough with a light, fluffy texture. So good. What's great about Built is all their bars are made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. You're going to love the new cookie dough chunk puff, whether you need to snack for your workout, a late night treat, or just to grab a quick bite. Built is a perfect protein bar, and they taste better than a candy bar. Ditch the calories, fat, and sugar. Grab yourself a Built bar. Go to Built.com right now. Use the promo code locked on 15, and get 15% off your order if you use the promo code locked on 15, but only at Built.com.
To help Heat fans get ready for the upcoming season, Official League, the fastest growing sports merch company, is launching an exclusive limited edition hat inspired by Miami Heat star Bam Adebayo and designed by viral artist NBA Paint. Only 100 will be available of each hat for purchase at officialleague.com, but we have great news for you. You can get a free Bam Adebayo / Ham Adebayo hat by leaving a 5-star rating and review at Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and then emailing a screenshot of that review to lockedonheat@gmail.com. You can also send that to us on Twitter or on Instagram. Here's the catch. You only have until Bam Adebayo attempts at least 18 shots in a game. Once he does that, we're going to close our entry. So get on it now. Next game is Wednesday night, and Bam might play in that one. Email a screenshot of your 5-star rating or review to lockedonheat@gmail.com for a chance to win a free Official League Bam Adebayo hat. Is Haywood Highsmith's stock up or down? We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, it's time to play. Does it matter, David? Let's start with this one. Does it matter that Max Strus and Duncan Robinson combined to shoot 9 of 20 from three-point range tonight?
I thought I had an answer, and then you asked it, and you said it out loud, and I said, I don't know that it matters. I think this is the expectation for them moving forward. It's great to see. How about that? Might be the wrong answer. Yeah, what? Screw it. It matters. It matters because they're getting back into that rhythm. They're comfortable. They found a way to explode offensively. We got our first ignitable from Erik Spoelstra in his post-game presser, talking about Max and Duncan both, and that was the case. Like, you saw Max put up these crazy shots, and you saw Duncan put up these crazy shots, and that's the kind of confidence boost they need. With their roles currently in flux, you want to be able to at least see the ball go through the hoop. They're both great scorers. They can provide some defense. Max a little bit better than Duncan on that end right now, but Duncan improving and being able to put the ball down a little bit more, but their bread and butter both is still that long-range shooting. So, yes, I think it's fantastic, and it does matter.
Yeah, it matters that they're making shots, and you want them to have that confidence going into the regular season. You start the regular season off strong, shooting like that, then maybe that carries through the regular season. They're going to need Strus and Robinson to make a whole lot of threes this year if they want to keep this offense afloat and get it kind of better than where it was last year. Interesting thing on Max Strus and Duncan Robinson, though. For the second time in this preseason, we saw them get a bunch of minutes together in that third quarter. Now, a lot of the beat guys were asking Max Strus about this and Erik Spoelstra about this after the game. I don't know how much we can really read into that part of it, given how many guys were out tonight. But Erik Spoelstra did say he's open to anything. Now, I don't know what the alternative to him saying that, like, if he really wasn't a believer in the Max Strus, Duncan Robinson lineups, I don't think he would say, yeah, we're not doing that, guys. Forget it. They're not good enough defensively. Like, I don't think he would say that publicly. Erik Spoelstra would. But I also do think he is kind of open to anything because we saw a lot of experimenting with lineups tonight. And if you do need some spacing next to Victor Oladipo in that second unit, that's a real good way to get it. Speaking of lineup experimenting, does it matter that Nikola Jovic, playing a whole lot of the 5 tonight, led the team in rebounds with 12?
No, I don't think it matters. I think, again, like, his strength is just being able to do so many other things well offensively. He happened to be the tallest player out there. Shorthanded lineup. I don't think he's going to continue to get those minutes. I know Spo mentioned afterwards that like that versatility, but he's learning this new position, and he seems to be thriving in it. So I think it's just another weapon, another feather in your cap as far as what you can possibly do with this versatile roster. So it's good to have him out there. I still don't think that's the strength of his game as a 5. I think moving forward, we'll probably see, some minutes there, but considering his ball handling, his passing ability are his greatest strengths, I don't see why you necessarily want to limit him to, some of the bigs that he's going to be facing. And look, this was against backups. Houston's overall roster not particularly good or deep, and so when he's going up against these players, they're basically G League players or young players that are still finding their footing in the NBA. I don't think this is going to be the norm moving forward.
I was asking Eric Spoelstra about it after the game, and he admitted he wasn't planning on playing him at center at all, and just based on what players were available this preseason, he said I just sort of threw him out there and then closed my eyes. And he did say that he's been better than he expected. Look, I think it's a big deal that he's at least a good rebounder. That to me is a big deal because of his skill set. He's got a nose for the ball, right? And these are like 2 games now in a row that he's had good rebounding numbers. The first 2 preseason games, kind of pedestrian rebounding numbers. But if he's able to get those boards, he's got that skill set to put the ball on the ground and push the pace. And we actually saw one of those instances in the second half. Gets the rebound, brings the ball up himself straight down the middle of the court. And I actually thought he had the layup. And then he ended up just sort of kicking it out to somebody, I don't remember who, and creating a turnover. It was sort of an awkward, clunky play. I'd like to just see him go ahead and dunk it or score with the layup or whatever. I think those things will come with more time as he's getting a better kind of feel for the NBA game. But you love a guy who can just create his own offense in the full court that way, which is something that the Heat desperately need, right? We know their limitations as a half-court offense. So if you're able to get more of those full-court kind of plays, that's going to be huge for Miami now. I also don't expect Jovic to be playing a whole lot of meaty minutes in the regular season, but all you're looking for right now from Jovic is a skill set and being able to project a couple seasons down the road. And I think based on everything we've seen, you got to feel good about what you've seen from Jovic.
You got to rain on everybody's Jovic parade here. That's just going to be the role that you're going to embrace early on. I don't get it.
I'm not raining on parade. I'm the weatherman. If it's raining outside, I'm going to tell you. It's not my rain. I'm just telling you it's raining outside.
I think he's been a lot better than expected.
Yes,
I think
I've said that.
Going into even the preseason, you and I thought he was going to barely get time and he's going to be out there. He's going to look like the slow-footed European who had no idea what's going on, couldn't handle the physicality or speed of the NBA because he told us as much. He basically said, "Oh, the speed was killing me in Vegas," and now he's changed course. Like he's taking real incremental steps with each game. And I like what Spo said about him, kind of something that reminded me of how Tyler has just been able to acquire new skills and he just sees it and he figures it out. He's just got a real knack. That Jovic is a quick learner. He rarely makes the same mistake twice and he puts in the work. And those are, it's a beautiful combination. So you could see continued growth from them. I think he's going to get more minutes moving forward. I know it's tough. Right now, we can't see it because we haven't seen the full lineup out there for the full healthy roster. It hasn't been available for any one game. But I think you have to find ways. You don't want to stunt his growth. And because he's shown such progress over the last couple of games, albeit in the preseason, I think he's earned enough playing time.
You think like real playing time or like kind of wonky blowout playing time in the regular season?
Real playing time. Like you could see, again, you just said it. As a rebound, look, Yurt is a great rebounder, right? Deadman, solid rebounder. They've got the size. If nothing else, they have that. But with Jovic, if you could get that size and it leads to those fast break opportunities, playing with pace, something that Miami has lacked so often in the past, I think it's a real benefit to having him as a 6'11" legitimate playmaker who sees the floor, reads it well, and can shoot, and with more and more confidence with every shot.
We'll see, man. I'm hopeful. Look, it's a long season. Maybe even if it doesn't happen at the beginning of the season,
he'll be a starter.
He'll be a starter at some point in the regular season, I think, just because of injuries and stuff, but I don't think he'll be a real starter.
That'll be right. That's all that matters.
Last one, let's be quick about it. Eric Spoelstra used Jamal Cain as a backup center tonight. Does that matter?
No. That's just a product of having like 7 healthy guys out there and you're just kind of messing around and seeing what's available to you. I don't think it's legit. I mean, I can't see that being something that you're going to do consistently.
I like it though. No, it matters that he was like, all right, somebody's got to play center, and he went to Jamal Cain, who just signed a 2-way deal. He's got length, athleticism. I don't know. It doesn't matter, but it was interesting.
It's fun to watch, right?
It is. Stock Watch is next, but first, let's talk about PrizePicks. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, and tonight I am taking Luka Doncic to score more than 26.5 points, LeBron James to have more than 7.5 rebounds, Kevin Durant to have less than 6.5 assists, and Steph Curry to have more than 3.5 3-pointers made. Now, that's just the script. None of those players actually played tonight, I don't think. But it lays out the point of PrizePicks. It's daily fantasy made easy, and all you have to do to play is pick 2 to 5 players, and if they're going to score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 10 extra money on any entry. And the best part, you're not competing against other people. It's just you versus the projected fantasy outcomes. And PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you watch. This includes the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, the WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, disc golf, Euro basketball, cricket, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy, safe, and fast withdrawals, and currently operational in over 30 states, plus Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks is going to give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. You got it. Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy made easy.
Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. And just a reminder that you can always reach us via email at lockedonheat@gmail.com or via Twitter using the hashtag AskLOHeat. Be sure to please subscribe to the show and leave a review, not just because you want to enter your name into the potential raffle for that hat that we described at the top of the second segment, but because we want to hear from you. We love hearing from all of our listeners. We love hearing the support. You can always send us questions that we'll answer in upcoming episodes or mailbag editions of those episodes. But we're going to continue looking at this roster with so many players out of the lineup, starters that we are pretty confident are going to get significant amount of playing time. We'll look at the other players whose stock might be up or down, and we'll start off today's segment with Haywood Highsmith getting the starting nod there. Started a couple games in the preseason so far. Not his best outing, 6 points overall. What did he finish here? Well,
2 of 6 on 1 of 2 from 3-point range.
Yeah.
2 rebounds, a couple assists, -2 overall. Yeah, you got to say his stock is down right now, don't you? Because, and again, one preseason game, you don't mean to make a lot of it, but these minutes all matter. We all say small sample, but this is the only sample that the Heat have, and they're trying to make real roster decisions and rotation decisions. Jamal Cain, we just got done talking about him, outplayed Highsmith tonight. I don't know if that matters, but to go back to our other theme, but Highsmith's got to have to step it up, and those 3-pointers are going to have to go in if he's going to make a meaningful impact this year.
Yeah, it's something that you've said a lot about young players or developmental players. Like, what is it that they do for me particularly well? They don't have like an NBA skill that he can showcase on any given night. If he's not making that corner J, he's not really contributing. I love the energy from him, right? He brings it every night. He seems like he's wanting to make an impact out there. And overall, I'd say his defense is solid, if unspectacular.
Yeah,
it's not enough.
It's solid. And he defends without fouling, which is key. That's a big thing, especially with young guys. He's a good he's a big body, but like the Jamal Cain signing is interesting because they're a similar body type. They're a similar player type. Jamal Cain's probably
taller than him, by an inch or two.
Yeah, probably about an inch or two. He's more athletic, right? He's more of like a Caleb Martin kind of guy. Highsmith, I think, is stronger than probably Cain. Maybe not as strong as Caleb Martin, but you got to be better. Right now, stock's down, not a big deal.
Yeah, he was bringing the ball up and trying to make plays for others, finished with 2 assists as well. So that was good to see him continue to become a little bit more versatile in his skill set. But another player who's not as versatile, but getting the starting nod as well, Dewayne Deadman, been in and out of the lineups during the preseason so far. We know he's signed to a long-term deal, a couple of years here, but as you've mentioned many times, a imminently tradable contract. Would you say his stock is up or down, Wes?
After tonight, probably down. I know I just got done talking about how he has not lost the backup job to Bam, and I do believe that that's still the case, but he's going to have to play better. Omer Yurtseven, like one of them is going to have to really win that backup center job. I think it's up for grabs, and right now his stock was down after tonight.
I have to say that the trend that, of resting Yurtseven, and now I did notice him at practice or shoot around today with a soft cast or at least wrap around his ankle there. I think that's the reason why he's being held out.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, he probably could play if he had to, but obviously he doesn't. I don't know. I'm not seeing it from Dewayne, and I haven't been able to see it from him at all. And we thought going into the season that he was probably going to be in the outs, or at least
Yeah.
the player most likely to lose minutes because, well, just at this point in time, he's not going to get any better. He can continue to fine tune the things that he does well, but I mean, he's still slower, he's older, and he's not likely to take a leap at any point. So
You
I'm
really
not
just
sure
want
how
him to buy time for
he's carved out
Yurtseven
minutes.
to develop, right? Like you just want him. All right, just like hold down the fort until Yurtseven is at a place where we're really comfortable with him being our backup to Bam. But like Deadman's got to be better. Like he kind of fizzled out at the end of last year. He's got to be better than he has been basically all preseason.
So this player didn't start. That's Drew Smith, another backup point guard on the roster. Finished 6 of 11 from the floor. Finished with 15 points, plus 11 while he was out there. Overall, a solid night for him. Would you say his stock is up or down?
I think it's up. I've been impressed with him. He had some nice finishes around the basket. Look, he's not going to make the 15-man roster. We know that, but that's not really what all of this is about, right? You're trying to identify players who you want to invest in for the Sioux Falls Skyforce, your G League affiliate, right? I think they very much are invested in Drew Smith's potential. And look, if for whatever reason Gabe Vincent gets away, because remember, he's on a contract year, Drew Smith could be right now being groomed as your next Gabe Vincent. I think it's just something to keep an eye on. If you're a diehard Heat fan and you want to tune into any Sioux Falls Skyforce games, that might be one of the guys you might want to be watching for.
That's an excellent point. I was just thinking that myself. It's just, you're basically setting yourself up so that you have another option next season when Gabe takes whatever 3-year deal another team is willing to offer him as a free agent. Because I just don't see a way of, I'm sorry?
It's a Skyforce pipeline, man. They're building it. They've got it.
Miami has the recipe. They know what to do. Do we have time for another one?
Let's do one more quick.
All right. Gabe Vincent, the player that he might, Drew Smith might wind up replacing. Getting the starting nod tonight. We just talked about the potential for him to play alongside Victor Oladipo. He started alongside Oladipo. He played 21 minutes tonight, 3 of 7 for the floor, a -6, although he did finish with 10 points. Is his stock up or down?
I'm going to ask you this. Do you think it's, based on what you're saying, it sounds like you think down?
Yeah, he's just not popping the way that he did. And maybe, again, it's his contract year, so you know that there's an imperative for him to play as hard as he possibly can. But it just seemed like last year, whenever he was on the floor, there was a desperation. I need to be able to prove something at this level. I'm not quite seeing it. And maybe it's the preseason. Maybe it's the understanding now as a veteran that he can kind of just not necessarily go all out during the preseason games because none of this matters. And maybe he's saving that for the regular season, but nothing has really stood out to me. So I'd say his stock is slightly down.
Slightly down. I'm gonna cop out right here. I'm just gonna go even, just like no, not up, not down, just sort of where it is. I don't think that the Heat are even remotely worried about Gabe Vincent. I know that's not what you were saying, but I think also by virtue of this being Victor Oladipo's preseason debut and wanting to kind of get him those reps, Gabe was just sort of used off the ball so much to where I don't think that would be the case. I do think if him and Oladipo were sharing a second unit backcourt, it might be a little bit more his, my turn, his turn, kind of go back and forth and share the offense, where it was basically Oladipo's offense the whole time, and Gabe Vincent was basically just being used off the ball. And on a night where Duncan Robinson and Max Strus were feeling it, like you just kept feeding those guys. They had 10 3-pointers apiece, right? So it was just a weird night for Gabe Vincent because he was just sort of used as an off-ball sort of decoy almost. But also to your point, I think he's also just a gamer, and these games are so meaningless and don't matter. He's probably just bored by them, honestly. I think that the Heat are comfortable with him. Like when games really matter and you need somebody to provide some full court defense and make some shots, they're comfortable with Gabe. But that's it. Thanks again for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Remember to subscribe to new episodes of Locked On Heat on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Ring the bell to get notified as soon as new episodes go up. Now for your second listen, go check out the Ultimate Pro Basketball Preview 2022, a 6-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NBA season. The local team experts and the NBA insiders of the Locked On Podcast Network and Odyssey all combining into one ultimate NBA preview. Search for the Ultimate Pro NBA Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode, but for now, thanks for joining me, David.
You got it, Wes.
Wrap it up, B.